Hello there.
Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Bluedragonfive here.
Hello there. I'm Jacob Wile.
Hello, I'm Rohith Dhar.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus.
And tonight we bring you Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 3.
Yeah. So,
These episodes don't have names, they're just parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not the thing where for say WandaVision, they'll say, part one or episode one, and then
Mhm.
it'll have a title like a day or two after its release.
Yeah, but not in this case. This is kind of the first time I've ever seen it where they didn't go down like that, where it's just ambiguously episode, then we get the title later. It's kind of it'd be really confusing if they just called it episode. Just given the Star Wars of it all, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3. Wait a minute.
In my experience, most of the time, when I watched the episodes, they already had their titles.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean, that's the thing. If you watch it, like I'm saying, if you watch it the night of the drop or something, like second, the clock changes over, sort of thing.
well, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah,
So
we're here with Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3. So, Rohit, this is your first time joining us since the first two episodes were released together. So, what's your thoughts so far?
I really like the first two episodes of the show. I think they really set a great tone. Evan McGregor, I think, provides his best performance, and I think that's not hard to do, especially with people that aren't George Lucas. Not to make any digs at him. And the thematic core for Obi-Wan is very strong, and I feel that with young Princess Leia come in the mix. I like the actress. I can see where certain people may not like how smart she is or precocious she is as a child. Um, and like the whole running gag where apparently she can outrun like most everyone. And I could chalk that up in my mind to Star Wars having a level of goofiness to certain things, especially all the way back to the beginning, with like A New Hope, with that one scene where they're in a trash compactor and there's just a random tentacle monster that just comes out of nowhere. So I feel like that's just par for the course of the franchise. The third episode was not bad, but it wasn't as great as the first two. It was fine. There's certain moments that I really liked, but the some of the parts were okay.
All right, I guess Dragon, what did you think of this episode?
yeah, I love this episode, man. I think we got a lot of momentum a lot earlier than I think a lot of us were expecting. I mean, we had kind of the big meetup, like at the halfway point, which ultimately, I guess that makes sense. But I think usually, traditionally, I think we're used to them just kind of building it up to like the penultimate or something. So just the fact that we got it at the halfway point, I think is kind of rather like kind of the right turn. That's kind of exciting. Um, that's the thing. I mean, this episode had a lot going for it even before the two of them had kind of their big meetup. I mean, I was really kind of. Here's the thing. I've been on the fence about Leia, and I think this episode kind of made me a lot more okay with it. I'm still not crazy about it. It very much seems like the whole Leia thing's probably going to be for the majority, if not like 5 of the 6 episodes. Definitely 4, probably 5, but entirely possible it could be just the whole season. Leia's going to be a factor at play here versus like half the season Leia, half the season Luke. Who knows? But yeah. So I was on the fence about Leia, and I still kind of am. But I think this episode, I think we got some of the best Leia stuff in her interactions with Obi-Wan, and I loved a lot of the just kind of like how we really got into Obi-Wan's head this episode, and how it really kind of like built to a really good kind of climax, and kind of like again, I've been really McGregor's been killing it this show. He's been doing such a great job, and we've been really kind of getting into that transitional point in this character's life very well. Again, kind of necessitating while we're doing this show. So this episode in particular, had a lot going for it, but I don't know how people are going to respond to this Reva character and the fact that we're like, okay, now she's got her clutches on the little girl, so we're going to see where Reva goes with this. She milks this one into her next promotion. So yeah.
Yep. And Atomic Beast says it was an episode where Darth Vader is a complete savage.
Oh yeah, it was so good. It was so cool.
Not Rogue One levels of savage. Not Rogue One levels of savage. But
it was in the ballpark though. It was cut from the same cake.
More savage than in Rogue One. In this one, he visibly snaps the neck of a kid.
Well, yeah, that is
on screen.
Not just like a thing where like lightsaber comes out, youngling scared. We didn't do that. No, it was snap.
Yeah, that actually is a fair point.
Boy and his father. There's a theme. Fathers and sons in Star Wars. In this case, dead. Yeah,
I guess I might as well give my thoughts on this episode.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot too, especially the lead up to the confrontation and the confrontation itself. It's like you could tell that Obi-Wan was just like dreading something on the horizon, and you could just feel the tension in the air. It was just like palpable. You could sense it, if you will, with the Force.
Yeah, for me, I feel like my feeling, not me thinking that this episode was okay. I feel like it's a lot of it is the pacing of it. Like the first half, it was good, it was fine. Second half was where it really picked up. Like when Vader comes into the scene, that's when like the episode picks up in my view. And I feel like if the episode was more of that kind of like had Vader showed up a little bit earlier, I think this episode would have been much higher in my estimation. Not to say the stuff was like badly written. It's just like,
Come on, like the scene where the stormtroopers were looking for the Jedi.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like you could have cut that bit down.
Oh, come on, that fits in with the goofiness you were talking about earlier.
I don't think it was. My issue is not that it's goofy. It's just more like, it's just in terms of pacing. Like I feel like we're just kind of like, especially when Vader shows up. It's like okay, like we were just kind of, just panning out the runtime until Vader shows up. And that's where things get really interesting. Like there's bits in that like leading up to it that I like especially the interaction and relationship with like Obi-Wan and Leia was really good. I also really liked how Obi-Wan was really out of practice. It's not just like out of practice in terms of being a Jedi, like with just like simple lightsaber Force stuff, but just being able to like blend in among the crowd and like have like a level of like espionage or just level of deception. No, I'm trying to find like a less deception has like a weird negative connotation in my head, but when Obi-Wan slipped up and called like Leia by her real name in front of the stormtroopers, like, oh man, prequel era Obi-Wan would never do that. But the fact that he's just not been a Jedi for the past 10 years, it shows.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think that's a pretty positive. That's kind of positive. Like, it's like as a Jedi, he was taught not to let his emotions couldn't get the better of him, but now it's actually happening to him. And I think that's actually an interesting character development as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so I mean, with the episode, itself, I mean, with the just to jump around a little bit here. So first of all, really great opening between. Can we ixnay on the crinkling? Can we? I'm sorry, who's crinkling?
Sorry.
Thank you. So, sorry, I mean nuts. Okay. So we had a great opening between Obi-Wan kind of meditating on the Vader reveal, and like from last episode we have like some clips from the prequels and everything, and we have meanwhile the awesome. I always love when we suit up Darth Vader, and this was awesome when we did it here because we saw him in the tank, so he's coming out of the tank and he's he's being suited up by the machinery and everything, and we even got the red eyes on Vader, like from A New Hope. It's like it's all like in Rogue One, like we all the bells and whistles, and it looked really cool the way they shot it. So this whole episode is building for these two to kind of come up against each other.
And we have Hayden Christensen in the suit and James Earl Jones in the voice.
So speaking of that, apparently what they did, this is impressive. Again, kind of sets kind of an eerie precedent, but I think here it was very well handled. Yeah, they a lot of people noted that James Earl Jones, when he came back in Rogue One, a little withered. The man's 91 at this point. It's understandable. So sounded good enough. Don't get me wrong. Still sounded like Vader. Just maybe not like Vader at his peak.
Don't choke on your aspirations, director.
Exactly. Yeah. So with that in mind, what they did apparently is they kind of pulled what they did with Luke in Boba Fett, in Book of Boba Fett, where they kind of pulled some dialogue, and so James Earl Jones did the voice, and they kind of tweaked it. They kind of tweaked it so it would, so it would be kind of like a little more kind of like sounding. They can probably pull like sound clips from the original points. They massaged it out so he sounded exactly like Vader sounds, which I thought was a really good choice. It's a really good idea. It just seemed very seamless and seemed to be Vader like kind of in that 3.5 era, which is kind of like a wish fulfillment thing for me, because I can't tell you how many times I've read blurbs about, and then Vader did this between the movies when Vader was like at his beginnings. Like, that's really cool. So
yeah. No, it's specifically called like the Reese feature program, or like it's like a group that handled like the audio stuff for Luke and Mandalorian and Boba Fett. They basically like, instead of digitally DHing like James Earl Jones' face, they obviously DH his voice, which is like cool, impressive and like scary at the same time. Like, well, I think it's a little bit slightly more impressive because imagine like like if they were to, God, I hope this doesn't happen as a thing, but imagine just like Indiana Jones movies with like a CGI reconstruction of like young Harrison Ford, and they just have like an AI voice that just sounds like him in the 80s.
Yeah, so that's the thing when you kind of reach that debate. Yeah,
it's like, honestly, I don't think they'll be able to recreate it entirely with AI. I think they still need to have like someone like the person or someone physically close.
Well, I'm saying that's how they do it, Jake. If you're going to have like a physical guy and they're going to basically deep fake his face onto him.
No, they'll get Alden Henrik or the guy who like does the Harrison Ford impressions on YouTube.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think they actually have. You mentioned an AI do it. I don't think they're going to straight up just use a computer voice to do these acting things.
Well, I'm saying it's kind of scary though that they have everything saved up, so technically they could make it say anything if they really wanted to.
But the caveat to that is they actually have permission from the estates of these actors to do so.
Well, that's the thing. That's where it gets into this. It's so weird the time we live in right now, where it's just really so strange that, I mean, there is, like, for example, very recently they got the likeness rights for Stan Lee after his passing. So now if they wanted to, I'm not saying they're necessarily going to do this, but I think it's only a matter of time. They're going to put Stan Lee digitally into things, like coming back.
Out of all the celebrities, like Stan Lee was probably the one that would be most in favor of like.
Yeah, exactly. So in that case, Stan Lee would absolutely be on board with it because he could do more cameos, which is always what he always wanted to do. Like, that's why he shot him in advance. So in that case, that's an example of that technology being used for good, one could say. But then again, you have like, okay, this is like things where like, Harrison Ford not always the best relationship with Star Wars, in which I don't know if he'd like that, but he likes Indiana Jones though, so I don't know.
And so I think that the key thing is like they usually need to have permission from either the estates of the actors or the actors themselves in order to do this. So.
Yeah, so it's I guess I think the real question is like, would Mark Hamill like sign that before anything unfortunate happened in the vast distant future? I'm going to say, hopefully. Would he permit that sort of thing? Would would the actors of our favorite franchises like sign off for that sort of thing for their likenesses, but very much like their faces and their performances to kind of exist onward? That's a whole new ball game, kids, is what I'm saying. So,
I mean, Mark obviously gave his blessing for what they did in Mando and Boba Fett.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of like the beginning of it, though.
That's different from, say, like digitally reconstructing Mark Hamill from scratch.
I'm saying, like, after he's gone from this world coil, like, can we do it when you're not around? That sort of thing is like, well, I imagine he'd say yes, but that's the question. It's like it's the question of immortality ultimately, like, immortality through the art form, but then it's a question of art form versus cash in. You know, is it like the blockbuster franchisee thinking, or is it like, kind of like I want to keep the character and the universe alive, and
Yeah.
that's a question of like, well, when are you beating a dead horse versus just keeping the lore going? So it's a lot of complicated
Well,
ideas.
It won't be dystopic until we get like a.
okay. You kind of cut out there, Rohit. But
Like, I thought you were gonna say so. No, it won't be dystopic until we get digitally reconstructed versions of Marlon Brando for The Godfather and Orson Welles for Citizen Kane. That's when things will get.
I don't think that would. I mean, I think there needs to be like a fairly recent or someone who's actually alive. Or
All right, let's just
we need to
refocus.
we need to get back to the episode,
Yes,
guys.
thank you. So yes, Vader. Okay, so let's see. So Vader, I love that. We see him on Mustafar. Kind of Vader's spooky castle, his lava castle, and he's we see him, and I love that he's kind of in the Emperor's position. We've kind of reversed it from Empire, in which he's the one on the other end of the hologram call, and he's kind of giving the orders to Reva, the third sister, the Inquisitor, basically promising her a job if she doesn't screw up. If she screws up, she's dead.
We can't guarantee he'll actually follow through, though.
Oh, of course, that's the thing, man. I don't even know if I expect her to live, too. That's the thing, because obviously we know she's not going to succeed. Ultimately, we know that. It's a question: will she get away with her skin, or will she be killed?
Yeah, that or she'll turn good.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, she's really mean. This Reva lady. I don't know if she's.
I honestly hope she doesn't. And
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't see any redeeming that character.
if they do, it'd have to be like probably extremely forced.
Yeah.
But who gets to kill her though? Would it be Obi-Wan that puts the final blow, or would it be Vader?
I think it should be Vader. Honestly, that's what I think. But
It's like
Vader.
basically a continuation of "You have failed me for the last time."
Yep. So, by the way, it seems like we confirmed that Grand Inquisitor is a title because he's promising her she'll become the Grand Inquisitor. So again, I think a lot of people reading the side relief. It's kind of a small world, mind you, but we do have alien races that factor in. You're like, okay, so maybe that we do find the tall guy for Rebels in the future, like they got the taller head.
I mean,
My assumption is that the Grand Inquisitor will just be resurrected through the same technology that Fennec Shin got resurrected in Boba Fett. So
I mean, it's possible. It just sounds like she's still saying, "Oh yeah, he's dead, all right." Stabbed him and just kind of.
Well, no, she didn't complete her sentence. She says like, "Oh, like Obi-Wan, like did to, like the Grand Inquisitor." It didn't say like killed him or it's kind of she like the Vader cuts her off before finishing sentence about the state of the Grand Inquisitor. So it's kind of ambiguous whether like he's actually dead or just like severely injured and is like in the med bay or of the Empire or whatever getting healed up.
Well, I guess we'll find. Well, maybe we'll find. You'd imagine they would tie that loose end up if he is, gonna.
Atomic Beast has another comment.
What has he got?
I think why Reva knows a lot about Kenobi and Vader is because she has psychometry, the ability to attain memories by touching someone's item. Quinlan Voss has the ability too.
Yeah, don't they name drop that guy in this episode?
But also, Cal Kestis also has that ability in Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
So, which I would love to see him show up in either this season or if there's a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. That'd be cool. I think Reva more likely is just one of the younglings.
And if they did bring Cal back, they could get Cameron Monaghan too.
That'd be great to bring that guy into live action. I don't know anything about that game really. I just know that I've seen. Yeah,
well, it's getting a sequel now too.
I know it's cool. All I know is like I've seen like the trailer, maybe like a few minutes of gameplay footage from it. It just sounds like a really cool idea that hey, you have this this character who absolutely looks like himself in real life. He's an actor. You could bring him into the. You could adapt him very easily in this era of Disney Plus shows and whatnot.
Funnily enough, both Inquisitors and Vader factor into that game as well.
Yeah, so here's the thing with the psychometry here. It is honestly the way I've always read the whole Reva, how does Reva know things? I mean, and she's kind of probably was on the ground floor when Vader was coming up, in which she might have an idea that okay, this guy's probably Anakin Skywalker, who was he did side against basically, he took on the Anakin Skywalker took on the title of Darth Vader, and probably was there like when he was being created. Not in the room or anything. I'm just saying like when they were building the Empire, she's probably there being an Inquisitor when they were taking Jedi. Like, again, like Jedi might know or have a sense of some kind. Now I don't know if she's ever would be in a position where she would have like shaked Vader's hand or anything to really tell all that. Likewise, we haven't seen her lay a finger on Kenobi, if I recall. But
I don't know. I think it'll be just as simple as that she was one of the younglings that we saw.
I mean, that's what I guess in our first episode.
all I know is if she was a youngling, she wasn't a youngling in that scene that we saw at the top. She would have just been a youngling somewhere else. But if that's like, I mean, by all means, that could be it. But just she's not a youngling in that opening scene.
It's entirely possible she escaped the slaughter.
Yeah, no, it's entirely possible. I'm just saying, like, if anyone's like saying, "Oh yeah, she's one of the younglings," no, not the case.
Well, because the thing is, the whole point of Inquisitors is that like they're captured Jedi that are either tortured or if they're younglings or Padawans, they're just like brainwashed to be join the dark side. So
that is an excellent point, Rohit. That might be where they're going with that. Because remember, she saw like little carvings at the end there. Maybe it kind of was shaking something loose. So maybe there was a little inkling there or something.
Yeah, and also I wouldn't imagine like her character having that background, because then you can sort of maybe slightly compare and contrast with say Leia to a certain degree, in terms of like both of them being somewhat force sensitive, but one person just having a more horrific, terrible, change of circumstances as contrast to this one girl that just becomes a princess.
Sure.
And it's entirely possible that some of them also joined of their own volition.
I always assumed it was kind of like a survival sort of thing, where the majority of the Inquisitors probably just kind of like says, "Oh, well, we're kind of leaning towards the." I assume they were kind of Siths who were upgraded, but I mean, again, if they were Jedi who were turned, I mean, that's probably just seduced like Anakin was, probably.
I mean, who has the more enviable position, Vader or the Inquisitors?
Hey, you survived? Hey, I got an option for you. Join us or die. What do you want to do?
Well, Vader joined, and then he got, cut up and then burned to death.
Well, to be fair, he just didn't have the sense, like, not to jump when the other guy has the high ground. That's on Vader. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, true, but he did get a cool suit out of it.
Oh, yeah, but also, like, burns
that
do not go away.
Yeah, but it's more terrifying than just, a random guy walking down, and basically it creates the image,
No, you're right about that. I mean, yeah. I wonder if he just could have like, hey Palpatine, can I have like a cool suit and like a respirator? Why do you need a respirator? It's just kind of cool. Instead of him like needing it, of like, oh god, the pain.
Well, yeah, I know. It's like, oh god, that's the main reason and everything. And of course, you'd probably rather have the actual living body rather than the basically almost cyborg he's become.
Exactly.
And right. So Atomic Beast's next comment. Speaking of abilities, there's also a Sith technique called Force Drain. So either Vader, Reva, or one of the Inquisitors drain Obi-Wan's life force, turning into the old man we see in New Hope.
That would be rather interesting, yeah, because, I forget if I've heard the Force Drain from somewhere else or not, but does it, like, turn people old when the life's being sucked out from them? Is that how it works?
I mean, I have no idea, but it makes sense.
I think, yeah, it'd be kind of, because you gotta remember, like, he is roughly, because McGregor's basically, he is roughly the age Alec Guinness would have been, if I recall. Not full on the age, but I'm saying in this point in time, he would have been probably like 10 years out from where Alec Guinness was, but I don't see him getting white hair anytime soon.
Well, I always went with the theory that like living at Tatooine and being exposed to two suns, and I don't know if the Star Wars universe has sunscreen or sunblock, but like solar radiation can really mess with one's skin and it can really age you up.
That's a good I never thought about it. You're right, there are two suns, and that's probably not good for the ozone.
And also that's on top of stress.
I said people have joked that like part of it also came from like having to look after Luke and Leia.
No, not only just stress, but also like looking, because considering how the show like starts with Obi-Wan's like just being like a menial worker, he probably doesn't have much money to afford like a healthy diet. So that also kind of leads into him, not aging well. And considering he's now like an active Jedi, lack of diet, no good diet, not much exercise, and solar radiation, they really do a number on one's health and age.
That makes sense. So speaking of mundanity in Star Wars, one of my favorite things. I want to talk about again the thing for me. I was just really just getting a kick out of it during the episode. I love Obi-Wan. They were on Mapuzo, the mining planet, and Obi-Wan and Leia. They're kind of like on their path. Well, literally, they're going to be on the path. You basically kind of get safe passage back home. So Obi-Wan, and Leia. They hitch a ride with this awesome character, Freck.
I love Freck.
I love Freck too. Yeah, he's awesome.
His voice sounded familiar to me. Is he anyone played by anyone we know?
Yeah. He's played by Zach Braff.
Oh, no wonder it sounded familiar.
Yeah, but unrecognizable though. I didn't catch that was Zach Braff. I knew there was a familiarity about it, but once it was revealed, it was great.
And he seemed like a nice enough guy too.
That's the thing. I love this character. I just love that doesn't make much sense. He's just like, come on in.
I think it's going a long way to establish that, like, with the Empire being in full force, like the average person can just, I think about like Alan, like if there's like a specific Alan Moore interview where he's talking about V for Vendetta comic, and the point that he's trying to make is that, like, for V for Vendetta, it's this full fascist regime in England, and the whole point was that, like, the people that support the fascist regime aren't just like the high Gestapo people. It's like the average butcher, the average like shopkeeper, all just average day folks that like work and can be nice to you on a personal level, but like in terms of ideology, believe be for something that's like so authoritarian, so like restrictive of one's freedom. So it was really cool to see someone that like is personally likable and you can have like a drink at a canteen or whatever. But in terms of his overall beliefs and like allegiances, he represents something really sinister that's impacted the galaxy as a whole. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, I mean, what I really loved about this scene was, again, it's just the mundanity of, like, one, it's just on the kind of the comedy sense here, where it's like, okay, so we have an example of just stormtroopers, like, not in the middle of battle, just kind of like just kind of sitting on transports going from point A to point B. They know Freck. Just the fact they know this guy. It says, oh, hey, Freck, can we get a ride? Oh yeah, sure, guys, hop on.
It seems like they're like regulars of his.
I know, that's the thing. I love adding personality to the stormtroopers. One of my favorite things ever to do with Star Wars. We barely ever do it, but it's great when we do. And I love that Mando did it. And, we keep yeah.
And it's of course it references the classic comedy trope of, like, they're looking for the guy, but they're looking for someone who's wanted, but they're technically also talking to the guy at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. So with that too, I love just with the transport itself. I love how it kind of pays off. We saw almost the nobody-esque edited scene in the past episode where 2 episodes ago in episode 1. Where you saw, like Obi-Wan's day in and day out, just kind of monotony, where, he cuts the little slice off the fish thing, and, he goes on the transport home. So again, it's like him on the transport home, only now we've thrown him into the action with the scene. There's some tension involved, and, with that tension involved, we also have like some nice pathos where, the fact that, he's kind of, I just love the character study aspect we have here where, more importantly than just the monotony, it's like, Obi-Wan of Obi-Wan in hiding that we've seen. It's that he's kind of taking a moment to grieve Padme with Leia right there. We see,
he's not really lying when he says, "I see a lot of her mother in her."
Exactly. So I loved the coded dialogue in that scene. How Leia's kind of picking up on it, and like the fact that I think Leia's seeing Obi-Wan in a new light. And
it was also kind of adorable. She was like, "Are you my real dad?"
Yeah, but I love the sadness there. Like, oh God, if she only knew who her father was.
And she doesn't find out for another 10 years.
Yep.
Well, over another 10 years, I guess.
12 years.
12 years, yeah.
Well, technically, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's really just final Jedi, really.
Because it's like, I can't say, I'm not your father.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I love that. We learned some great details about Obi-Wan too. We learned that, and this is the most fascinating thing in the episode for me, in a writing standpoint. We learned that, Obi-Wan, he's had time to mull things over here, and he's kind of maybe kind of rethinking, the Jedi way of life that he subscribed to for so many years. And of course, this is always like the crux of the prequels. Well, at least the prequels at their best, what they were getting at, particularly by the third one, which was like, hey, Anakin went against the Jedi to save a person that he loved, and he was always going to Anakin's biggest failing in the eyes of the Jedi was that he cared about his loved ones, which we kind of set up like Luke going back for his friends, leading to the hand getting cut off and everything, and it's always been like like if you care about people, you're putting yourself and them at risk versus just being objective and kind of closing yourself off. But if you close yourself off, what are you fighting for? So Obi-Wan, we learned that being as a Padawan as a kid, he's plucked away from his family, to become a Jedi,
including his brother.
Exactly. We learned Obi-Wan had a brother, which is interesting.
It's like he doesn't even remember who he is.
That's the thing. So again, is the fact that Obi-Wan had a life, and I think just as this is, I think what we're building to is that, Obi-Wan is going to try and save Vader, and he's going to fail in this show. I think he's going to try and get some redemption in there for like just trying to take another stab at maybe reaching Anakin. Just kind of try and turn him away from the dark side, or try to salvage whatever thing he can with him, because I think he kind of gets it at this point. He kind of gets what like how sucking from life the Jedi Order can be, and how when basically you banked and invested in everything in the Jedi Order, and what do you have left when it just falls unexpectedly? You gave your life to a cause that's just completely useless right now, that just ended up getting everybody killed. And again, reaching into the guilt that Obi-Wan has, because the guy found fault with this, the whole Jedi Order went belly up. So I love the dichotomy of a lot of of their dynamic, and how we're kind of building the ideologies till they meet again. So I was in love with all that.
And even he himself, and obviously and Yoda later in Episode 5 basically said like the Jedi Order was not perfect.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wonder if we'll ever see Obi-Wan's brother ever appear mentioned again.
Well, I heard somewhere it was like apparently George Lucas back in the day. I don't think this is going to happen, mind you, because it doesn't make a whole lot of. It's kind of like a too little, too late sort of thing. Even if it did happen, it would have been like too small a world in such a big galaxy. The word on the street is that George Lucas was going to reveal in Jedi that Obi-Wan had a brother, and it was Owen Lars.
Huh.
Which I mean, I don't really see much like real thematic crux we get from that here. I mean, aside from the fact that Owen doesn't really get along with Obi-Wan, but still, I don't think it's really going to like salvage anything. And he's his long lost brother. Oh, ain't that cute?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if they're actually going to use that.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it, but apparently that's where like the idea of Obi-Wan had a brother came from. So it's a nice way they worked that in there, though.
And in a way, that would kind of make him related to Vader in a way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's kind of
like Vader's step uncle.
But I think the real point is with the brother thing, is that Obi-Wan gave up his family and the family that he had. Yes,
I guess technically that would also explain another reason why Owen doesn't like the Jedi.
Well, I think like the whole like brother thing, him having like a baby brother he doesn't remember, kind of helps inform like him having a sort of a strong attachment to Anakin, like throughout the prequel trilogy, because maybe subconsciously he sees Anakin as like the younger brother he could have had he not been taken by the Jedi.
Yes, Rohith, I agree with that point. Yeah, it's why he's like invested so much in the Skywalker family. That's the only family he has, because again, he kind of traded his own family for kind of a higher calling, and so that's the only family he does have. Yeah.
Just to keep the conversation going, I really like the Underground Railroad thing in the episode. It makes sense. And I feel like that's like something that can be definitely like explored furthermore in other media, like the whole just trying to survive and keeping hope, especially with the Empire that's just like hell bent on eliminating everything, and that can be evocative of hope.
That makes sense, yeah. But also shows how it could be, how easily fallible it is, and how if it's easily found, it could all fall apart.
Yeah, so Tala was an interesting character. She the idea that she worked for the Empire and then kind of saw the error in its ways and just kind of wanted to find kind of some semblance of redemption.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Also, real quick, I wanted to note that I love that Leia was kind of like calling the shots like Carrie Fisher Leia would. When she was like, Father, aren't you going to say anything?
Especially considering she wasn't even supposed to talk in the
I
first
know that's
place.
the thing. That's a very Leia move. I kind of dig that though. That's what I'm saying. The kid's winning me over. Also, by the way, when everything went belly up and when Freck, oh not Freck, you kind of like ratted him out essentially. But again, there was he's not really too in the wrong. He's like, well, he said they were suspicious. He didn't say like shoot him or arrest him or anything. He just said like, yeah, no, check him out.
And he didn't die, so.
I don't know, which is good. I'm just saying, I love that Obi-Wan during that action scene. I love that he force lifted, one of the stormtroopers and dropped him on the laser grid and got cut in half. That was awesome.
Man, this show's actually getting a lot more visceral than the previous ones.
Yeah. Well, again, it's lasers, so no blood.
Yeah, cauterization.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrifying, but not bloody.
The only blood that never happened from the lightsaber was, strangely enough, in episode 4 before like George Lucas was like, yeah, maybe these things are just cauterize wounds instead of making them bleed.
Yep.
It saves up money on fake blood.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of the lightsabers, the lightsaber fight at the end of the episode, I love the lighting for it.
Yes, the lighting is so good in this episode.
Yeah. I did have an initial nitpick in regards to sort of how the lightsabers looked on the episode. It just felt like a little bit more. I don't know how to describe it. It didn't feel like a laser, if that makes sense. But the way when the camera shows Obi-Wan's face being lighted by the lightsaber is really cool. I don't know if you guys got that or maybe.
I mean, I didn't. I mean, look, I think I can see there's a difference, but it didn't bother me at all. I thought it was kind of maybe an upgrade. I don't know. I looked at it.
It's like I thought it looked fine. I mean, obviously that's why I chose it for the thumbnail here.
Yeah. I'll tell you the coolest thing about the episode with the lighting of the lightsaber thing. I mean, for starters, I just love that when how we're using darkness in the scene. So when Vader re-enters the scene, when he just just Obi-Wan can sense again, I think he's sensing a presence he hasn't felt before since ... There he is in darkness coming down the way, killing fathers and children. And just it's the fact they can sense each other and there's no outrunning him, and he just shows up there and he lights the saber. And I love that we build up that Obi-Wan has not used his lightsaber at all to this point. Part of me thought, okay, he's just gonna, because he had the moment there, you thought he would have just light it up, but he didn't. But again, until he was in darkness and just kind of fearing for his life. Here's the question: Obi-Wan during this fight, do you think there is? Do you think it's purely that he's just out of practice, or do you think it's that he doesn't want to kill Anakin out of that sense of guilt of look what I did to him?
It's a bit of column A and column B.
I mean, after all, I am what you made me.
Which is such a great line, by the way. I just love the what happened to you? What
have you become?
I am what you made me.
And he's like, you should have killed me when you had the chance.
So all that is wonderful, by the way. It's that's just great dialogue. But I love that we kind of zest up the interaction they had. So again, it's we have Obi-Wan kind of at a disadvantage here for one reason or another, and I love that it's kind of indicative of, it's kind of like a middle ground between a Mustafar fight, or more accurately, kind of a New Hope fight. And that's, again, there's kind of a handicap at play here.
In a way, Vader had the high ground here.
Absolutely. And I'm saying with the light, I was loving when Obi-Wan lit his lightsaber purely for a practical standpoint. I need to see where he is. And then Vader emerges from the shadows, and you can only see him lit by that saber and with
technically, you can also this lights on his suit. Yeah,
it's probably yes. With the little lights on his suit and everything, he looks so great. You see him coming out of the darkness and then illuminated by it.
Speaking of lighting, we should also talk about the sound design too. Where we could where Obi-Wan thought that Vader was right next to him, but then he was all the way across the field. It's just Vader was just messing with him. He was toying with his prey.
Yeah.
It's not only was he just It's like he was like making Obi-Wan think he was right next to him, but then he just appeared out of nowhere. It's like he could be literally saying he could be anywhere, and you have no idea.
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to move on to the whole fire thing, but
I want to mention before the fire thing because we kind of glazed over it. Real quick, I want to highlight some really good droid design. Ned B, the loader droid, really cool.
And I do like the plot element that they're not allowed to speak.
Yeah, and I love that I had like that hammer who's ready to defend those kids. With the.
It's like, he's about to throw down.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like this loader droid, man. It was plus the design's really cool, and the fact that he's silent, like Leia's being all nice to him, I loved it. All right, anyway, yes. So the fire is like the coolest idea in the thing. Just like, oh god, Vader's getting hit. Again, you don't expect it because we don't remember Obi-Wan burn wounds, but this is Star Wars, in which unless you're like on a lava planet and in hot lava, you could, in theory, heal from like a lot of skin damage, like Boba Fett did.
I mean, hey, Boba Fett recovered from being in the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, exactly. So Vader's damage is far more extensive, which is why he never healed properly. But
well, obviously, it's kind of as much as you can do with like the Force and medical technology in there, dude. Only so much you can do with like 3 severed limbs and severe burns and
from lava
and damaged lungs.
Yeah,
well, that too. Yeah. I don't think they could just magic it up and be like, oh yeah, look at you, you're fine. Like, no, that's like part of the job of the Revenge of the Sith was explaining how he got into the suit in the first place.
Yeah, look at him, movie star gorgeous. He's all better now. Just one little milk bath and he's all fine.
Yeah, just a dip in the back to tank. Yeah, that'll buff right out.
Yeah, it'll be right as rain.
It would have been hilarious. Like, I mean, if things were just slightly changed around. Where if you just took out Vader's mask, like he looks fine. He just has like that one small scar. And he's like Dr. Doom, where he's just like that vainglorious, and that's why he went to the dark side.
God, that's the funny thing because Vader does have like before the accident, he did have like that one scar on his face, one little like minimum scar.
But yeah, that didn't like drive him to the dark side though.
Yeah, no, that's a funny idea though. Yeah, it's so God. Like, why are you breathing so bad? I have asthma.
Like, then you need like a whole suit for that. Don't question it. It's like,
it looks cool, all right. Just don't ask.
Why do you have a cape? It looks cool.
What's wrong? What do you got against capes? You capist?
Vader is just like really out of shape. He's just been eating a few too many like dark side donuts.
Don't you mean cookies?
See, here's how Darth Vader eats cookies. Okay, he scrapes off the cream, the light side of the Oreo, and he just eats the cookies.
No. Considering like how stressful the dark side is, and all that power, and all that like vying for power and trying to defend his position of power, that could cause someone to have a lot of stress eating. So,
I think it's more just depression eating. I'm saying my wife died, and he's just eating and eating and eating.
I wonder how Darth Vader even eats, or if he even needs to eat.
Yeah, I love how Robot Chicken answered that. He kind of drinks through a straw.
Yeah, it's probably because everything's condensed into fluids that just like goes through all the tubes in his body.
I always like to think like Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. The way he ate was he took off the mask and ate as fast as he could, saying "ow, ow, 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 ow," and they put the thing back on.
And yeah, it's like. And all this is kind of fun, but we should probably focus on the rest of the episode.
Well, again, it's basically the big moment. So again, that firefight was such a really cool. It's an amazing visual, and just like the ultimate revenge for you burn me on Mustafar, I'm gonna burn you, sucker. And the fact that we've seen Vader's kill people like a flick of his wrist with the Force before.
It's clear that he has more, and he just like wants to make Obi-Wan suffer.
And here's the thing I didn't catch until the rewatch, because I always wondered like was that Obi-Wan or was that like the lady when she shot? When she shot to help him, but no, Vader put out that flame because he wanted to torture him beyond that little fire. The fire was like a taste.
It's like he actually pushed Obi-Wan out of the fire too. At that point.
That's what I'm saying. So initially, he's dragging him into the middle of the fire and they put it out. Which
kind of leads to the terrifying question: what else did he have in mind for Obi-Wan?
Oh, I think I know. I think he was going to cut his limbs off for like weeks.
It's like one at a time. Like, do you want to which limb do you want to use?
He'll force Obi-Wan to smoke death sticks, like a pack a day.
Rohit, you need to go home and rethink your life.
Well, no, I think what it.
You get what I'm talking about, though, right?
Right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right. I didn't want you to think I was actually saying any of that. Okay, go on.
I'll tell you that would be far worse torture. Okay, so just basically he has him like kind of hanging there, and he's just basically like each day like he's not just cutting the limb off, he's cutting like parts of the limb off for like a month.
That's pretty much what we were talking about.
Well, no, I'm not saying like one at a time. I'm saying it's like, okay, there's the toes, and there's the ankle, and there's like that. That's like
would it
slicing
be like
like
a
cheese
swift
or
cut,
something.
or would he like saw it?
It's like
I'm saying he used the lightsaber, but piece by piece.
No, that's what I'm saying. Would he just like slash it with the lightsaber, or would he just like kind of cut it like how you cut like slices of bread?
I think it's like bread.
Yeah.
And you can be all like, ooh, what are we cutting off today?
Yep.
He goes to Endor's moon, gets a bunch of Ewoks, and just like tickles Obi-Wan. Just
oh god.
or
he gets a recording of Jar Jar.
Or here's what he does: he cuts off a limb and he feeds it to the Jawa. No, he feeds it to the Ewoks.
Oh god. What if
they were cannibals? Technically, they were.
Or what if he feeds it to his camel creature?
Okay, that's I don't know about that. You have to track it down and put it on the ship. I don't think I want that thing on my ship.
No, he'll of course only want to play the.
Well, then again, he wouldn't want to go Tatooine anyway. Too much sand.
No. Yeah. He'll force Obi-Wan to play the chess game with the Wookiee, and then if the Wookiee loses, he'll just rip Obi-Wan's arms off.
Oh, it'll be really cruel. Oh god, imagine this. Vader cuts Obi-Wan's limbs off just nice and simple, but what he does, he basically gets his limbs back by they're like a face-off situation. They're mine now.
Oh god.
Look at me, I got a full set. How's it feel, buddy? Now light them on fire again.
I would love Evan McGregor acting like Anakin and Hayden Christensen acting like Obi-Wan.
Why are we spending so much time speculating on how Vader? Why are we spending on how he would torture Obi-Wan? It's like, why are we enjoying this?
Well, because it was such a genius idea that he would subject him to that torture.
What we're doing is trying to apply for positions as inquisitors, and so offering innovative torture ideas to our Lord and Savior Darth Vader's, the way to get in.
I guess that makes sense. We have to be sycophantic to him and everything.
Lord Vader, I had an idea. Let's shave off his beard every couple months and just see how long it takes for him to get irritated. Like it's completely gone.
And shave it off with the lights. Shave it off with the lightsaber.
Make him nervous. Yeah.
No. You make him bald and take his beard by just plucking each individual hair.
Yeah.
Grow
a beard and shave it off and live happily ever after.
You also take the hairs out of his eyebrows.
Oh god!
And every time you take out an individual hair, you look at it and then you say hello there, and then just do that for each individual hair.
Oh, and what about his eyelashes too? Of course.
Oh, okay. No, here's Vader's ultimate torture. Then we gotta move on. Okay, Vader's ultimate torture. He has like a little dump. He has like a mini dump truck of sand that he just unleashes on him. So basically, Obi-Wan's gonna be going around his cell wherever he's kept that, and he'll never get the sand out. And then Vader's gonna be like, "I know, right? It's everywhere. Enjoy that." Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway. So in all seriousness, though, again, I do appreciate just the visual and all the irony about like him, like the brutality of him holding him in that fire. Basically, honestly, it's an exercise of control. Of like, I'm in control of this. I'm doing to you what you did to me. I'm going to make sure you suffer by my hand, so long as I allow it, and I'm holding all the control in this situation. So he can put it out when he likes, or he can relight it, whatever he wants to do. So just a brutal and really great idea. You've always, I never thought they would have gone that far, but they did, and I loved it.
Yeah. Oh god.
And lastly, Reva has her hands on Leia.
She killed the pilot that Leia was supposed to meet.
Yep. So Leia's in quite the pickle right now.
Well, yeah, it's like she's been technically been kidnapped twice now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, is she? Who knows? Maybe. Well, I mean, technically, once I guess since it was technically Reva hired the bounty hunters in the first place, so
That won't be the last time. She's going to be kidnapped the third time, like if you count A New Hope.
I mean that's a fair point. And this time by her own father.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think he realized it was his daughter at that point. And,
Well, of course not, but little daddy-daughter bonding, retroactively.
yeah, and she obviously didn't know that he was her father, so
Nope.
because it's obviously not going to be explained here. So, oh well, little too late.
Yeah.
It's not like those little children's books that they publish where Darth Vader's raising the kids.
Oh, you mean the Jeffrey? I think Jeffrey Brown did those. Yeah, the little. Those are the whole like Vader and son and Vader and daughter. I love those. Those are great.
I've never actually read those, but they
No,
look.
I gifted them to a friend, but I read them before I gave them to him, like for his kids.
But they just look kind of wholesome.
They are. They're adorable. They're freaking adorable. I love them, man. They're freaking adorable. We got to look into them. Like I kind of want to like buy the calendar, but I know I'm good. I wouldn't really go for that, but it'd be really awesome though.
I mean, it's an odd concept, but
yeah, it's adorable. Yeah, if you think about it, it's kind of screwed up, especially given he cut off his own son's hand. But it's great though.
It's like, yeah. All right. Anything else we should discuss with this episode before we go off on any more tangents? I mean, the tangents are fun and everything, and we can go on more if you want.
I mean, Rohit, you got anything?
I'm wondering for Hayden Christensen, like we saw his face like in the makeup, like as like in the beginning of the episode when the suit's being put on, and in that one scene where like Obi-Wan sees a vision of him like in the traditional Jedi cloak. I wonder when we see Hayden Christensen's like face, Anakin, all this stuff, it'll be more if it's more like, like the Force vision stuff, but instead of like Obi-Wan seeing Darth Vader, he sees like Anakin, but obviously maybe he's like all bruised up, so that way,
I mean, we know for a fact that Hayden Christensen is actually in the suit.
Yeah, but like I feel there's gonna have to be a scene where we see like Hayden Christensen's face, like interacting and saying dialogue to Obi-Wan, because I feel like it'd be kind of pointless for Hayden Christensen to just be in the suit, right? We're not like seeing, or I mean, you can see the performance based on how like his like demeanor and all that stuff in terms of like actual like dialogue scenes, all that stuff. I feel like there will be a point at which like Darth Vader will use like that Force Skype thing from like the Last Jedi and connect with Obi-Wan, and and you can see Hayden Christensen actually like interacting with Obi-Wan, face to face.
Well, they could always do like a flashback if they really wanted to.
They could, but I feel like then you would have to do the whole de-aging stuff for both McGregor and Christensen.
Well, how different does Christensen really look from like Revenge of the Sith era?
I mean, the most they have to do is like maybe like. I mean, he doesn't look much older. I mean, he probably like.
He's got like
his hair maybe like that.
Yeah, well, obviously the hair, we can give him a wig or something.
Yeah. He's got a bit of crow's feet. I mean, he's not like severely aged or anything like that.
I'm just saying the de-aging, just like a few wrinkles. I don't think that's like compared to what they did with Luke Skywalker. I think they'll be fine.
It wouldn't be that severe, so I think they'll be fine. I think it'd be fine if they did a flashback. They might do a bit more work on McGregor, but even then, McGregor doesn't look that much different. Just probably like obviously remove the gray from his hair.
Yeah, I mean, McGregor does look really good for his age, honestly. Yeah, he's not that he's old. I'm just saying he looks very similar to how he used to look, just with a shaggier hair, honestly.
Oh, and a fun fact, one bit of trivia. You know that young girl in the previous episode that gave him the spice?
Yeah.
That's actually Ewan McGregor's real daughter.
Oh, cool.
Her name's Esther Rose McGregor. That's his real daughter.
I did not know that. Nice.
Yep. So his daughter basically gave him illegal drugs.
Yep.
In the Star Wars universe, and it wasn't related in the universe, but you get the idea.
Well, she gave it to him for free. That's nice.
Which is crazy because like she's 20 years old and Evan McGregor is 51, and he doesn't look like barely above 40 or 45 max.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the stormtroopers are anybody like from the 501st, the charity organization.
Well, I know in Mando they were, so it'd be nice to think so. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't like get more work, especially if they have like a very stormtrooper kind of laden, like especially a casual scene.
Yeah, they might just be casual actors, or they might just actually be some of those guys.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of fun trivia that I didn't realize from the previous episode, but yep.
All right. Well, I think that, guys, unless there's anything
Well,
else.
I'll give you a little bit of trivia. Like the actress who played, what was the name of the character in this episode that helped out? No, the woman.
Tala. Well, the character's name was Tala. I don't know the actress's name.
Her actress' name is Indira Varma, and for people of sci-fi fantasy fans, she played Oberyn Martell's lover, Elaria Sand, in Game of Thrones.
Ooh.
You know the lady. She shows up in the fourth season.
I haven't watched Game of Thrones, but
Blue Dragon. You've seen Game of Thrones, right?
No, heck no.
Oh, you have now?
No. I'm probably never going to watch Game of Thrones. No.
He said, "Heck no."
Man,
sorry.
Well, she was in that. And fun fact: Oberyn Martell was played by Pedro Pascal. So, yeah.
Yep. Pedro Pascal was in that. So I don't remember who he played, but yep, man, there seems to be a lot of crossover between this and.
Well, it's one of the big sci-fi and fantasy shows out there. So stands a reason for actors that have experience wearing costumes and doing some performances that require some sword combat. It can lend themselves to decent experience to parlay that into Star Wars.
Yeah, seems like it. It's also not the first Game of Thrones major alumni to appear in Star Wars either.
Wait, who else has showed up from
Emilia Clarke.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep, is Kira.
Yep, she was Kira.
I really liked Kira, by the way. No one ever gives enough credit for that role, but she was good.
Yep. And I think there might have been some before. Gwendolyn Christie was also in Game of Thrones.
Yep, that's the other. She is apparently a big.
Yeah.
To be fair, almost everyone and their mother from Game of Thrones has popped up in other things. It's kind of it's like the new 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon sort of thing.
Well, that and in the MCU, because now in this show we've had one MCU guy show up.
Let's.
Who?
Kumail Nanjiani.
Right, yeah. Yes. Kumail Nanjiani.
He was in Eternals, right?
Yes.
Yes, he played Kingo in Eternals. Yes, I'm trying to think. I know we've had other I'm pretty sure we've had other MCU.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yep.
The Ben Mendelsohn.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
Forrest Whitaker.
Well, wait. Forrest Whitaker wasn't in the MCU.
Yeah, he was. He played Zuri in Black Panther.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of him with the hair in the movie. That's the problem.
Lupita Nyong'o as well.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Oscar Isaac now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if it's
I'm sure there's probably some other overlap elsewhere.
Yes. Okay.
Either they were the MCU first and then came to Star Wars, or vice versa.
Yep.
So.
All right. So I think let's take a moment to thank the folks who joined us during the show here. Let's thank Atomic Beast.
And that's it.
Yeah, but again, anyone who's going to watch it in the aftermath. Yes.
Beast.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm there.
Sorry, I thought someone called.
Yeah, I thought you said his name.
I had the video also in the YouTube video, and I just was closing the tab and the sound came from that. So it's all good.
Trippy.
But it almost sounded like you were saying Dragon's name, though. Like Dragon. So it's a coincidence, I guess.
All right, anyway, coincidence aside, I want to thank Rohit for joining us as well.
Yes, thank you, Rohit.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for us this week. As we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Just mano y mano, just Plus and Us.
Yeah, I am what you made me.